Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We are back with another episode of the Stone DM. And that's me, the Stone DM. Um, we're a little late, so we got the football game on again. Not like last week where we had to definitely get it in before the game because we would have been hella distracted. Um, this time we'll only be mildly distracted, you know what I'm saying? But we set off on our adventure with our new party member in tow. They all agreed to head the same direction with a course of action that runs together, so that's fun. Who knows how far that'll take them and how close the bond may become between here and there, you know what I mean? Um, we have been uh, doing not have been, but we do we set off with day to day travel, and that's kind of generally what we've been doing. But we've only been between two locations so far, so it's still different. You know what I mean? Um, like it's still a new experience, and it's a thing that we still have to try out because I don't know if day to day is going to get too monotonous or anything like that. And I know that I've talked about that before in these videos, and it's obviously up to me to be able to create the scenarios that are different, for the players to encounter. That way, things don't just feel like, oh, we're just here rolling some dice for, to move to the next location. You know what I mean? Because then we could just have like the fast travel type stuff, and so I need to figure out, that because I did design the world to where it was going to be dangerous and like crazy things that we're gonna find and all this stuff, But I didn't realize that the towns themselves were gonna give me so much potential, between different types of adventures. Because like the last town, they spent many days in, and they did what they could. Like now that's a small town. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot easier to meet all the people and to learn all the potential things in that one place a lot easier. But so like the bigger towns and stuff are obviously going to be a bit harder for that, and they're not going to find everything, and like I can't just let each one person know all of the different types of possible things they could find. But also that like would be detrimental to the game itself because like I want them to have to play in the world. Um, and if they have so many missions, they'll just get overwhelmed with that too. So like I can't have every shop owner needing something vital done. And again, this is something I've talked about before, but so like I didn't understand how much time they would be able to spend in towns and the idea like what the towns could bring to the game. So we can do a lot more with that while also not like completely being overwhelmed by all the jobs and stuff. But I do like the idea of the travel, and there are some really fun circumstances that are gonna appear and things that they can get into, as long as you know the dice tell the story, in a different fashion, and we don't just keep finding this. And then my brain also in the moment, I need to be able to come up with new scenarios and things like that. Uh, for the story itself too. I can't get mundane in my type of storytelling or my idea uh, creating that um, that way the story will progress differently. We find different challenges, we face different puzzles and problems and creatures and worldly options. Like we had a bridge, and we had a river, and we had quicksand. I know I didn't run it how you're supposed to, but I think we did all right with how we did run it. It caused some real panic. It caused some real character, like um, dialogue or internal dialogue. Like the different problems of the world, and how these people are all gonna handle it, not just with each other but also in themselves. So I thought that was a lot of fun, and it was definitely a harrowing experience. Um, Again, like I said last week, it's a good thing about the table being patient, and just really fun people and good to play with, because you get the opportunity to try these things. And we almost lost a player, and like those things can happen in the world, even though they may be superheroes when it comes to combat. I also have to understand it's not just falling off of a cliff. It's also the quicksands. It's also the rushing rivers and stuff like that. Like these things are also going to be vital to their survival, depending on how they handle these things. So I have to tough mist kick. So I have to be ready for these scenarios. I also have to be willing to let these people, fall to the dice, as you will. Um, but I think it's a lot of fun how we went about it. I think we got some really fun things going for like our downtime when we camp and stuff. We got a couple people who are doing like a training thing where they want to train the other player to use different type of weapons and stuff. So right now I'm kind of just doing like a pass fail kind of thing. I know there is training for downtime, like outside of adventures, like when you have like months off or whatever. But and that's with like a master trainer and stuff. So there's not really a lot that I found for like day to day travel stuff. And I thought I had seen something before, but I don't remember it. So right now, I'm kind of really just going to go with the pass-fail thing. The person training her is obviously not like a master, with it, but like he's a paladin, so he's really good with all these weapons anyway. But so we're kind of just doing like a pass-fail thing, and it's going to be higher than 3, but like I'm wondering if maybe 10 is too much, or maybe 20 would be like the right number. You know what I mean? Because like you are trying to gain proficiency with an entirely different weapon, but I don't want the mechanic to seem just meh like that. I think that's kind of like the problem that I'm running into with a lot of the stuff that I want to build, is like the monotony of a lot of it. However, the fun part is the dice do tell the story. So even while the scenario may seem monotonous, the outcome could always be very different. So I do have to allow for some form of that to like happen, because like in the world, some experiences will come up a lot more than others regularly, and like so that's a thing. Um, One of the players, they put me on the spot, man. They asked me, and I had been doing a little bit of thinking about like a timeline, because I do want to have like a yearly system, and I do want to understand where they are in these places. I don't know if they're gonna have fun with it, so like that's another thing I'm gonna have to check with the table and see how they all feel about keeping track of the days and stuff. I know it's like a real world thing, but like in a game, you really do get lost in some of it. However, having the day to day and the things that could occur because of that, like we just recently came across the um, problem where Aurelia, the Princess Aurelia, uh, has left home to go get the adventure license, because she needs to be part of the community, and like that's you have to show everyone that we all have to do the same amount of work. So she left to go get the adventure license, and what they did was they sent a lot of well qualified young elves who they maybe even held back for this particular moment to go with her to be part of her team to ensure her safety and that she would, get the license. However, as soon as she got there, she abandoned most of them and kind of just collected this ragtag group of people who, are adventurers. Like, not to down on them, but they were all very different than most of the people there. Like Charlie was the only Dragonborn not to be with all the Dragonborn. Bubo is the only Owlin ever to be seen. And then the elves all went together and they could have stayed a team, but she immediately adopted all of these people. So that was a lot of fun. But they all graduated right around the same time. So the amount of time that they have been traveling, the other elves had to go home. And that just happened. So they finally made it because they went quickly. Because obviously, they're going to be in trouble. But hold on a second. What is going on up here? So they travel quickly to get back to the home of the elves, which is called Coresti, and they ran home because as much as they didn't want to go home, they had to because the journey was over, and that's where their job was accomplished. However, they do not have the princess in tow. And while some of them may have acknowledged that could be a problem, most of them probably didn't, because they didn't technically tell them that they were like, hey, you're watching, because the princess is a princess, she's gonna do whatever the fuck she wants. However, she had never been away from home for this long, so maybe they didn't think that she would go off to save the world, in her own words, because her mom did use the sending spell or message spell, I forgot what it's called now, and said, yo, this is not what was supposed to happen. You are way too important to just be gallivanting around the countryside. And told her, and then Aurelia made a valiant argument against why she needs time and is away for a greater purpose. So her mother, the queen, reluctantly gave her a month to get home. And then, like I was saying, one of the players tried to put me on the spot. Well, he did, actually, and asked me, a timeline. And I have thought about it a little bit. So I figure we're a few months, like 2 months out from the summer festivals. And that's also important for the elves. So, we'll see what happens. But it's also important for everybody because, most nations and generations always celebrate the sun. The sun is, quite the thing. Let's get to the stone part. So, the summer festivities are going to be happening probably across most of the land, if not all of it, because the dwarves celebrate the sun. The Goliaths don't really have their own gods yet. They generally celebrate either the dwarven gods, or some of them have adopted even some of the elven gods. While they're not as known to many peoples, they are somewhat known. And, some people don't have any. And the Dragonborn have the legendary dragon Noken, who is the small moon, according to them, and they, kind of worship like that, like a Viking kind of more like not Viking with the the many gods, but like more of like a nature ritualistic kind of thing, probably. And then we got the Druids, who obviously worship nature and. I wonder if I'm gonna give the Druids like a Mother Earth type thing or something like that. I haven't really thought too much about that yet, even though I kind of do need to start because they're varying pretty close. And Bubo, our Owlin, who is the only of her kind at the moment, is also a Druid, which have a big story in the world too. So we got a lot of things that are playing out right now. They got the little town that they're trying to save from the big bad, and then they got their life stuff that is all coming out and into play. Lothian, potentially finding another pale elf, even though he thought maybe they weren't any. So there's a lot of things that I need to think about, a lot of scenarios that I need to allow to manifest and happen naturally. I need to give them the options to go these directions, even if they have to potentially do it alone for a little bit. We do have another person in the party, so splitting the party may not be as dire anymore. But I mean, splitting the party may not ever be dire. It just depends on kind of the things they get into. And then I just need to be ready for them to open the world up, a little bit more for me. So I'm really excited. We have been traveling now for 4 days after the excitement. The group itself has been together since night 1 of the Adventure Academy. Has been together for 34 days now, I think it is. And I mean, that's almost a whole month because technically my months are 35 day months. You got 5 7-day weeks, and then there's 420 days in a year, so you have 12 months of this. You know what I mean? Well, that was bad. That was bad. Bad punt. So they have, 5 weeks to either get back to the elfin, village, have a great reason why not, or those other elves have now been threatened with trouble. And then they're like 2 weeks now away from Magellanes, so hopefully, depending on what happens within the next session, they should at least reach the town. And then go find Bubo's wizard, Mirden, and go talk to him and see if he has some answers about potentially a few things. And then I guess we'll see where they go from there, potentially back to Fort Runaft to save the day. As long as there is a day to be saved, I suppose I should say. But I I really need to be able to understand a little bit better on like the situational environmental things with like the quicksand and stuff like that, because that shit can get dire pretty quick. So that's really interesting and it's a lot of fun, and allowing the players to work through things like that really opens up the gameplay a lot too. It was really fun watching them go through this as a player, and then kind of wondering what I might do if I was ever caught in that situation, because like I usually create pretty dumb players. So that could have been interesting. And I like to though, but like I said last time, now what I want to do is try to play different play different types of characters that aren't something that I would particularly pick personally, or maybe even like something that I don't know if I would really enjoy, quite frankly. However, the the understanding of what those players may or may not be able to do would be really helpful for me as a DM. And in roleplay, I can make anything fun for me personally. Now, whether that's detrimental to the table or not would be a different story. Speaking of the table, we have introduced a new player, and it's only the second session with them being at the table. And it's first full session for her. Technically, she was there for the entire one last time. However, I don't really see a big difference in action economy as far as adding another player. We haven't done a lot to have the experiences to see how much it may or may not change, and then especially like me with the combat rating. However, strictly table purposes, it doesn't seem to be that much of a difference as far as design or damn. That was a hard run. Was that a tutty? No, they called him down. So I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference in that. So I think, all things considered, I think this will be a pretty good experience for all of us, and we will be able to continue it going forward. I'm not sure how the others will feel, as DMs or anything like that, but by my understanding, it's not really a lot different. They're already really tough as far as the rating and stuff like that. Like, I already bump it up a little bit just for them. So just making those adjustments for another player is, it's going to be something I need to figure out, but I don't think it's going to take too much time considering, well, I mean, I guess it'll take a lot of time considering I never really had it figured out for them before. And, it's a normal struggle for DM to not, be able, because if you read what the challenge rating is, then that's wrong. But like I give a lot of them like legendary actions, or I give them what is that layer actions and stuff like that. Like doing stuff like that'll help. Obviously giving minions and stuff like that'll help. But so those are like my strategies to ensure a little bit of stress. I think it's fun to be in a position where you're like, oh, this is dangerous. My table sometimes does not handle adversity very well. It's a lot of fun to watch. I'm not saying like they lash out or anything like that. They just get a little frantic, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. And even for the table, I think it's fun. Uh, they always say I'm trying to kill them. I am not, but there's not a lot to prove otherwise. So, hard argument. But I'm having a lot of fun. Really excited to continue creating and building and watching Mirage grow as a world and an entity and see all the things that take place. However, now adding that it is close to summer, I have immediately set myself up to have to start designing summer festivals for these fucking places. But Aurelia did create the elves, so she gets to help with that area. But if they don't go there, then I guess she don't have to do anything. And obviously, if she didn't want to help, she doesn't have to. I would just take all the lore that she created and try and work off of that and do, some type of celebration and such. However, it's going to be a lot of fun too, because now that gives the world a little bit of life, and it lets kind of a little bit more interaction happen between the different races, and a little bit of controversy there too, because like the dwarves have their sun god and they're the original race, so like their sun god is who they believe to be, and then the elves also believe in a sun god, but they have it different. Shalar is what they call it, and the dwarves, I didn't really have a name for it, but I took her name and I called it Skalor. And that way, the elves, like maybe somebody said something wrong, and like that's why they have this, and then it just grew into different things over the couple of hundred of years, because the elves came out shortly after the dwarves. 50 years I do believe we settled on, so like that's pretty cool, and that also allows the world to have the differences between the peoples, and it lets people have a little bit of come together and also a little bit of separation. That way, you got worldly struggles, and you got, conflicts that, can either be solved or insolvable, and it's just, creating scenarios, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy watching them play the game and see how they handle all the different things. So, I'm going to do the best I can as far as all that goes. I hope you guys drop in, check them out. All Bear Crew, one word, right here, YouTube. And then, let me know if you guys want to see some things pop up in the game. If you want to see some worldly encounters or different types of monsters or anything like that you guys might want to see. Or even, like, we had cows in the last one. Nice couple of grazing cows. Oh, who was it? I heard one playthrough, they had never seen a cow before because he was a fancy boy, so he went on a murder spree of all the cows because he thought they were attacking all the people in his camp, and he was on watch alone. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy gaming. I hope your games go well. I hope you roll good. And don't forget to smile. Pass it on, y'all.